go through Mirror Room. This alludes to the Mirror Room in Super Mario 64, and people just naturally assume there's a way you could get through this, coming from how it feels like an actual thing you could do in the game, and the wonderment of what lies beyond, especially that door over there, which people believe alludes to the forbidden door in the game's Iceberg. This, of course, came to fruition in the DS version, but that's just like a whole nother game that we're not talking about here. Purple Yoshi. This is unlocking Purple Yoshi to play as in Yoshi's Story. This most likely popped up from the fact that you can see it in the intro alongside Brown Yoshi. I don't know why the other one was nowhere near as talked about as Purple, but we'll get to it later. And they're both playable in story and appear in the beta screenshot, as you can see here. Now, this actually got big enough to the point where it appeared in like legit walkthroughs. Like, it was on IGN for the longest time, and there's a chance it's still on there somehow. The most commonly said method was to get every coin in every course, which is just kind of ridiculous, so no wonder people caught on that's not real, unfortunately. Grunty Stores. The endgame of Banjo-Kazooie is a really exciting point because you start opening up a lot of things and feel like that you're upgrading a lot, and the game starts doing a lot of unconventional, surprising things. And you can get to the areas that you saw the cutscenes all take place in, and once you reach that lab area that 2D was trapped in, you see two doors there, and people of course want to see if there's a way to get through them. And what adds to this and the intrigue is that if you try looking in the first person view camera, you can actually clip through one of the doors and see through it, but the other you can't. I believe the one on your right as you enter is the one that you can see through, adding to the possibility that maybe they did intend for you to get through the door somehow. Ghoul Medal. In Big Boo's Haunt, if you read the sign outside the mansion, it mentions rewarding you with a Ghoul Medal if you manage to achieve the things there. And people start to believe that this was an actual special item in the game that you could get. Now, I've talked about this before in previous videos, that being the less talked about entries video, which I highly recommend if you want more info on it. And this alludes to other entries that you'll see later in the series, but what makes this special is that while people just dismiss it as a pun on gold medal, it's capitalized like a proper noun, implying further that it actually is like a real special object, which is most likely what caught on people's interest. Sora's Domain Tunnel. This completes the previous Sora's Domain entry. And the main reason why people wanted to do this was that if you look underneath the water, you can see a tunnel opening there, and people want to get in there. You of course can't get through there as an adult since it's frozen. The screenshot you see is obviously glitched. And as a kid, it's just annoyingly deep enough to not reach it with diving, even with the golden scale. People assume that this connected to other rumored areas that you'll hear me talk about later on in this, and maybe even the White Temple. But yeah, people would try and fail all the time to get through here, and apparently there's nothing. However, there's a mod called Ocarina of Time Nimpies, which starts you in this tunnel, so if you're interested, go check that out. Cage Shark, another Ocarina rumor, but a less mysterious one, and this just alludes to the cage shark in the laboratory at Lake Hylia and what exactly its purpose is. People believe that it's Nintendo doing a jab at game sharks, but they never really directly mention these, and especially not in that subtle way in their games like this, so that's just a really weird thing to still think about. But even with it, it's still such a curious and weird thing to add, as I just said, and people thought that maybe there's a way you could free it or do something with the shark, and also kids were probably scared that it would get free itself, even if it is just a crabby looking texture, but hey, you don't really register that as a kid. All Bonds. This was thought of a possibility to do normally in Goldeneye Double 7. As you can see, it was a planned idea, however it didn't make it in the final game because they couldn't acquire the actors' rights is the main reason given. And yeah, people just speculate that there is some sort of cheat code to be able to play as them. 24th cheat in line mode. Continuing on with cheat codes in Goldeneye 007, if you look at the cheat menu here, even after getting all of them, you can see there's still one egregious missing spot there, implying that there's supposed to be a secret 24th one. And while all bonds could be one that's speculated, the most commonly accepted answer is that it would have been line mode, which you can try to get into your game, but by less unconventional means and not in a normal cheat menu. And as you can see, it's a bit rough looking, so it's probably understandable why they didn't just have it as a normally selectable cheat. And just a side note, adding to that, there actually is another cheat in the game to give you extra characters in multiplayer mode, but it's not listed on the main menu either. It's something that you have to input in the character select screen itself. Sky Temple. After the Light Temple, this is the next most well-known rumored temple in Ocarina of Time, and people connect it to similar things as the Light Temple, such as it being an area where you could get the Triforce, or it contains another area which I'll talk about later on here in this video. And like the methods to get here though are like less conventional than the Light Temple and more convoluted. Like usually I hear that you enter it through Hyrule Field, and there's some dumb ones like being able to kill enough Stalgerland so they grow big enough to reach up there into the sky. But yeah, people do have screenshots of this claiming that it's the Sky Temple, but it's just like a rainbow colored grotto, which I'm talking about later for another temple later down the series near the end. And I just imagine it being like a more like yellowish color scheme, which some modders tried to recreate. But yeah, it's still pretty cool and interesting because, I mean, it's fun, it's extra temples, and Sky is a curious one to think about. Overture of Sages. This all connects to the Triforce and Light Temple, which was one big hoax done by one fan back in the late 90s in a blog. And this is a song that was rumored to be in the game in the way that you get to the Light Temple, as I'm already saying. And it's cool to think about there being extra songs in Ocarina of Time. But yeah, this is seen as some like legendary hidden song, and it would eventually lead you to the Triforce, which everybody wanted. Now, despite it being claimed as a hoax, and as you can see, Link's sword is on the wrong side, and they said that they did this on purpose to see if people would catch on, which is really weird to think about and do. But yeah, some people still like to believe that maybe it's somewhere in there deep in the game's data or through personalized copies. Zester Pyramid, another secret area in Ocarina of Time. And this one you can actually see because in the Haunted Wasteland, if you stand in a specific area and play the Song of Storms to have lightning flash, you can see a triangular texture way out in the horizon flash for a brief moment, and people thought this to be a hidden area. And there were several different speculated means to get there, one of which I'm talking about a bit later in this video. Take a shot of water whenever I say that. But yeah, it's pretty cool to think about there being a secret area and a non-temple one at that, sort of. But on a side note, I've tried doing this a lot in my own game, but I just can't seem to see it. So if anybody can like show me the specific spot on the map you should be standing at to do it, I would really appreciate it. Surprisingly, I can't find like a video of somebody doing it. Marty. This is a Mario Kart 64 rumor and a extra character one at that. It's a bit silly, but in Bowser's Castle, you can see that there's a caged thwomp, and it's just locked in a cage for no reason. There's nothing you can do about it. It laughs at you if you drive near it. And it's green, unlike blue, such as the others, adding more to the mystique in this. And it being caged, people naturally want to unlock it, as you do in video games, and as you'll hear a lot more later on in this series. But yeah, people thought that Marty, I don't know where the name came from, but thought that he would have been a super secret special character if you unlocked it somehow. And I will admit, even before I knew this rumor, I was intrigued by Marty also, because I was caught on to the fact that it's just locked up for no reason and that it's a special color, so I wondered like what the deal with it is, and that's probably how this started. Unicorn Fountain / Sword Beam. So this is a really well-known one for Ocarina of Time, and the Unicorn Fountain is a cut area from the game, but people thought that there were some other ways to get there in the final game itself, and that it was hidden off somewhere on its own, or in the Sky Temple, or in the Light Temple. And people speculate at what you would acquire in here. The most commonly said one is the Sword Beam attack, and that was missing from Ocarina of Time despite it being in previous titles. And other people said that you would get the Triforce alongside with it, but that's just all up in the air. Yellow / gold, white, and black tunic. The last Ocarina rumor for this video, and this one connects to the Zester Pyramid as well as other ones said before. And what makes these ones special is that you can get these through a Game Shark, but you can get them just as you can get the other Tunics easily. Yes, you don't have to do a special deep color modifier code to get these ones specifically. You can just do a simple one instead, which is how this started. And people speculated on how you could get these, thinking that this must mean that they're in the game normally. And the following them saying I actually got from Dr. Lava. I don't know where he heard these from, but the yellow or gold tunic, however you look at it, you can unlock by beating the running man. And this would increase Link's speed, but also allow you to cross the haunted wasteland without getting lost in the sandstorm. And that you could enter the Zester Pyramid from before, and in there you would get the white tunic, which would increase Link's defense, and I think it just looks really fucking cool in Ocarina of Time Link somehow. And then after this, you would go back to the room where you fought Dark Link in the Water Temple, and he would be ready for a rematch, and after beating him, you would get the black tunic, which would increase Link's defense. And then maybe you can get the Triforce somehow. Woo-wee! Citadel. We're ending this off with Goldeneye Double 7 yet again. And there's not much to say about this one, but it's a pretty popular one because this actually is an unfinished level, as you can see here, and people just thought you could get it in the final game somehow, completed, of course, as a special multiplayer map with widely crappy ways to get it. But yeah, that does it for this large layer. Next up are still pretty well-known ones, but much more vague, ambiguous ones, just ones that, like, are observations and are left up to interpretation. See you then.